Oh wow. Okay. So I hit the go
Well,
live button. Something's happening. Um,
I, I see
well,
a message that says the content of this meeting is being sent to Facebook.
okay, cool. So it's working. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh to everyone once again. I think I need to minimize this so it doesn't do it like a feedback thing. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. My name is Fauzia, Dr. Fauzia with the Aafiyah Project. I'm the founder and executive director. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to make sure everyone is in the right room. So if you are here for our intro meeting on college applications, you're in the right spot. The college application process, you are in the right spot. Everyone here for that? I think so. Someone just joined. All righty. And this will be recorded, as you all see. So inshallah, you can always access it at a later time, but we do want you to be here live. So stay with us and ask questions. Um, all right, just a quick intro, the Aafiyah Project. We are a nonprofit, a health and wellness organization based in the PG County area. We've been operational as a nonprofit since 2020, and we serve the DMV area. There's much more to that, but I am not going to go into much detail. I just wanted to share with you really quickly our mission statement. We are on a mission to build a legacy of health and wellness, and we're doing that through three focal areas, which are health promotion, scholastic and community engagement, and scholastic achievement. This, I guess you could see as kind of like our North Star, what we aim for. Today, we're obviously going to be talking about the scholastic achievement piece of our work. Just a little bit about that. We have what we call the out of school clubs. We call our students our STARS. STARS stands for Students Taking Action and Responsibility. We separate them into four different categories. This evening, we'll be focusing on our senior STARS, who are primarily our middle and high school students. We also do other things along those lines. Like we have scholarship funds, STEM programming. We typically partner with SciTech to You. I hope Sister Zainab should be on shortly. They also offer tutoring and homework help for our students. They have summer camps, college preparedness, and career preparedness. So this evening, we'll be focusing more on the college preparedness piece. And we've called this our college application process. So there are a few things I would like for us to cover, inshallah, this school year. Starting with the college application process, I also want us to talk about how to cultivate academic success. If everyone can please mute themselves, that would be great, just so we don't have feedback. Cultivating academic success, career exploration for our students post high school. Essay writing and resume development. We'll talk some more about that tonight. Skills development and workshops, things around leadership skills and life skills for our students, and also parental support. So how to help support your students, especially. All right, so tonight is special. I won't be doing the bulk of the presentation. That would be this young lady over here, Ms. Islamiyat. So tonight's presentation is by Ms. Islamiyat Adebohun. She's worked as a school counselor for 13 years in the public and private school sectors. She's also worked domestically and internationally at institutions like American International School in Lagos, Nigeria, American International School of Jeddah in Saudi. During her tenure as a professional school counselor, she's worked with students to get into top universities in the world, from the known Ivy Leagues in the U.S., like Harvard, HBCUs, prestigious HBCUs, like Howard University, right next door to us here, to international institutions like Oxford University. So she is not a stranger to us. She's worked with us, like I said, clearly. This is actually, I think this was what, 3 years ago, when she assisted, and that's me. She assisted us with on our field trip, just hopping on campuses to show our students what campus life looks like. This particular spot was GW. I believe we went to other schools like Towson University, Stevenson University, because we believe in the fact that kids have to be on campus to kind of get a good sense of what it's like to live on campus, right? So we definitely, she's a huge resource to us. So we would definitely love to make use of her. So without further ado, I present to you Ms. Adebohun, or Ms. Islamiyat. So here she is. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And you should be able to share, right?
All right, so while I get set up with sharing of my screen, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for joining the session today. This is one of the favorite parts of my job is assistant students in this process. Okay. Like she mentioned, 13 years work domestically as well as internationally, and I've pretty much seen and heard it all. You know, there are different trends that have come and gone, but the process itself doesn't really change. There's been a few changes with the SAT going digital, with schools going not test optional and things like that, but for the most part, the process just keeps getting streamlined because it was, when we applied to universities, it was completely different. And a lot more stressful with a lot more paper and stamps and, certified mail. Now, everything's digitized. So great things. All right. So today, because we're an intimate group, I'm asking, participate. If you have a question or something comes up, put it in the chat. If I see it, I will speak to it. And at that point, if not, we have some time set aside for Q&A. Okay. So this is a high level presentation on the college application process. It does not look the same for every single person, and all of this information might not be pertinent depending on what schools you apply to. So for everything that's said, still go back to the school and their requirements to see what they are actually asking for. This is a high level. There's no way I can put in everything for every single college and university in the United States, talk less of the world, okay? So today we're going to discuss the why, the what, when, where, the who's of the college application process. A lot of this information you've probably heard before if you are a high school senior, but if you haven't, or even if you have, it's still good to hear again, because the more you hear it, the more it sometimes sticks. So the big why. Well, let's start with the definition of the college application process. It's literally just researching suitable universities and colleges based on your identified criteria. So make sure that that part of your identified criteria is important. Applying to those universities and colleges, securing acceptance offers, and then choosing one of your many acceptance offers, inshallah. It is literally what stands between what the rest of your life will look like. So like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and over the years, these are some of the reasons that students have given for their why. It could, from making my family proud, to move away from home, to a better life, to marry well, have a nice car, independence, deepen my knowledge, change the world. So the reasons run the gamut. And you know what your reasons are. So keep that in mind throughout this whole process. Statistically speaking, though, there are a lot of reasons to apply to college. One, employment rates. And I'll be sending this workshop to you guys, to Sister Fauzia, and she can send it out to everyone, so you'll have it to look at. But college grads typically have high employment rates. I won't spend a lot of time here, but it affects employment, earnings, your job opportunities, economic mobility, work satisfaction, debt. And this is an important one because this is a big I think it's important to talk about debt. Debt is, as you get older, you buy a car, you buy a house, debt is unavoidable, but there's good debt and there's bad debt. College graduates typically owe more debt, but they tend to end more. So it's like you do owe, right? Unless you're very lucky and your parents paid for all of your schooling from undergrad to postgraduate. At some point in time, you will accumulate some debt. Good debt has long-term financial benefits that often outweigh the initial cost. So you'll end up making more over the course of your lifetime than how much you initially took out in loans. Bad debt is the opposite of good debt. It has short-term financial benefits, and it's not a good idea in the long run. So this is something I want you to consider after you've gotten the applications, you've gotten your acceptance letters, and you're looking at the financial package. It's good debt versus bad debt. And the last reason, health and well-being. Higher education levels are associated with better health outcomes and lower rates of chronic diseases, which goes back to the North Star Sister Fauzia was speaking about for Aafiyah Project. All of these
I was
things
gonna say,
are
hold on.
connected.
I was gonna say that again. Please say that again.
They're definitely connected.
Mashallah.
So, all right, getting into the meat of it, components of a college application. There are 10 things that we're going to talk about, just so you see it. Going back to the first screen, there's the application form, and it's a standard form provided by the college. Back in back in the days, you had to request college applications, or if your high school counseling office didn't provide them, you had to request them, wait for them to come, fill out the paper, send it in. If you made mistakes, that's a whole nother thing, right? But today you have things like Common App, which really streamlined the college application process and made it a lot more accessible to a wide range of people. So the application form, high school transcript, standardized test scores. Like I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of schools have gone test optional, but that does not mean it's a catch-22. If you test well and you have great SAT scores, send it. So just because a school says they're test optional doesn't mean, okay, I don't have to do this. If it's something you should at least take it. It's like insurance. It's an insurance policy is what I say. You have it just in case you need it. And if you don't, at least, you feel you're covered. But SATs, ACTs, I don't even know if ACTs are really a thing these days, but definitely the SATs. Letters of recommendation, typically from your teachers, counselors, or mentors who can speak to your abilities and your character. Most colleges require 1 to 3 letters, but you have to request at least one, even if you don't need for some reason all the schools you apply to, they don't request that or require that as part of their application. It's good to have one in hand because at some point, whether your first year in college, a couple of years into college, something you're going to apply to is going to require a recommendation letter or a job, something, and you have it, and it should be sealed if it's given to you in paper, in hard copy. The personal essay and statement. It's a written piece that allows you to express your personality, experiences, and motivations. This is the one that gets a lot of people stumped, that leaves them stumped. And they have a hard time with it because they're not used to talking about themselves in that way. So this is something that we can definitely assist with, and I'll speak more about the ways that we can support you during this process. The resume, it is not required by all schools, but some schools may request a resume. Unless something has changed, no school has required it. It's optional as part of their application, but that might not be the case. There might be 1 or 2 schools that do require it. The application fee, a fee is required to submit your applications, but for there are a lot of fee waivers that are often available for eligible students. Sometimes it's just a matter of you speaking to your counselor at the school, because they're usually disbursed through the school counselors, either by the county, some special program that your high school works with, or your SAT. A college board actually does fee waivers as well. And supplemental materials, this is if it's applicable. Some programs, especially like the arts or specialized fields, may require portfolios, but if you are in that boat, you absolutely know this already, or should know this via your participation in that specialized program. Interviews, if they're required, it's usually the more, the Ivy League type schools, or the more prestigious schools that will request an interview to some of their candidates. So if you are ever offered the opportunity to interview, please take it, because it's a great opportunity to really show them who they're meeting. And a lot of times they're done by alumni of the universities or members of the admissions department. Financial aid documents. This, you need your parents for this part. If you're applying for financial aid, you'll need to submit things like the FAFSA. And I implore everybody, even if you're paying out of pocket for your college education, still fill out the FAFSA and let them tell you no, because these days they have so many different programs that you might qualify for, or you think you don't qualify for, and they say, oh, well, actually, based on these questions and the answers that you provided, you do. So these are the 10 things that typically make up a college application, and you will be doing your attention to them. Sometimes they overlap, but sometimes one comes after the other. But these are all things you should be aware of. The different types of applications, you have your regular decision, your early action, and your early admission or early decision. Now, we all know what regular decision is, right? But early action and early admission, sometimes this can be confusing. The difference is early admission is binding. So if you apply and are accepted to a school for early admissions, it means that you have to forfeit all of the other universities and colleges that you apply to. Even if you know what they're going to say or don't know, it doesn't matter, the financial aid package. It means that you are accepting this university's acceptance of you and dropping everything else. So students are careful with this, because they do like to know their options, especially the package, the financial aid package that they get, because that is a lot of times what a big factor in students and families' decisions. Okay, so choosing between these options, it really depends on your readiness, your interest in a specific school. If you know you have wanted to go to Harvard since you were 5 and nothing is keeping you from it, not the price, not anything, you will find a way. Then your interest in a specific school outweighs everything else, and you're going to go. Also, how you want to manage your application process. This isn't publicized a lot, but the majority of the decisions are made via students that apply early action and early admission. So the pool of open spaces, of open seats for that following that school year, your freshman year, a large number of those seats are taken by students that do early action or early admission, which means that if you're waiting to apply by January, February, or even later, with rolling admissions, you're really taking it's a lot more people applying for a smaller number of open seats. So that is something to keep in mind. It's like you do the work on the front end of your senior year. So do the work you should have already started by now if you haven't, but you're working from the beginning of the school year up until about winter break or the end of November. It's a lot, it's stressful. We'll talk about that later, but it's so much more beneficial. So that is the one thing I tell students: if you can, try to shoot for the early action deadline. Try to
Okay.
meet that deadline.
Quick question in the
Mhm.
chat. Are you more likely to get into a college if you apply early admission or
versus
early decision versus
versus
regular or versus early action, I guess?
you have a smaller number of people competing. So less students will apply for early action or early admission than they will regular. Regular, you have a lot. So let's say we have 1,000 students, maybe 250 will choose to do the work on the front end, and getting back to school and all of these things at the same time. They'll do the work on the front end for that college application and hopefully get in versus 750 students. So you're competing against 250 students with early action or early admission versus 750 students when you apply regular decisions. So it's really just a numbers game. It's a lot more competitive when you apply later because you have more people. But the thing is, with early action, I have to tell you, your competition is, even though it's less people, your competition typically, it tends to be stronger because these are usually the really high achieving students. They've been planning for this for a couple of years, so they're ready to go. So that's my spiel on early action versus decision and regular versus early.
Okay. So another question just popped in, Mrs. Islamiyat. Does applying early decision make it harder to negotiate better financial aid packages?
Does applying early action,
Applying early decision.
does it make it? So yeah, that's the thing, because it's binding. So you have to take what they give you because it's binding. You literally sign a document on Common App saying that I acknowledge that I'm applying for early decision and this is binding, and I will forfeit, I'm paraphrasing, but I will forfeit my other applications if accepted. So you're saying you're going to accept it without knowing the financial aid package.
Right. So then I guess my follow-up would then be, do the students who do early action, or sorry, early decision, early admission, do they typically get like a good package, like a scholarship or a good financial aid package?
I think because they tend to be the higher achieving students, the stronger
Mhm.
students, they do. But
Okay.
not just because, I mean, you do have, so along with that, right, along with the decisions comes a pool of money. So if they've admitted 50% of their class, they've already given away 50% of their financial aid to those students. So yes, you do have more money available to you if you're admitted earlier on.
Is there any, sorry, one more follow-up. Is there any way for you to get a sense of what kind of financial aid package or scholarship that you would receive ahead of time? Do you typically know, or
Yeah,
it's
no,
just,
they
yeah?
don't talk about those things. But you can have a conversation. You can always, email, attend there for the particular school a student is interested in or your child is interested in, reach out to them and have a conversation about what the typical. They're not going to tell you this is what your child is likely to get, but they'll tell you. So from our pool of early admission accepted students, we gave away blah, 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 and the average student had blah, 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 but they'll never say, this is what your child is going to get based on his or her, credentials or application.
Mm.
All right, so
Okay.
moving on, the timeline. So summer before senior year, this is really a process that you start working on. I say your freshman year, you're building your profile, your college application profile starting junior year. Sometimes, starting freshman year. Sometimes even before, if you're active in a community and doing community service, or you're taking higher level classes in middle school and over the summer. But definitely summer before your senior year, you should have researched colleges. You should have prepared for tests, and you should have started gathering materials. The actual application portals will not open until about August, end of August, September sometimes. So you can't actually go in and see a live application, but you can start looking at, okay, this is what their personal statement question was or prompt was last year. Doesn't mean it's going to be the same, but they typically don't change too much. Okay, so fall of senior year, I've broken it down by month, what you should be doing. August, finalizing your list. You start work on your application essays. September, you're attending college fairs and information sessions to ask not because you need to, not because you're just starting, hopefully, your research, but because you've done the research and you have follow-up questions to the particular universities that are attending these sessions or these college fairs. You register for any required standardized tests. With the SAT being digital, it's great because you get to take it a lot more often and you don't have to wait as long. So this is what you should be doing September and attending information sessions like this. October, you should definitely be finalizing your essays and your materials. Again, I strongly recommend doing the early action meeting the early action deadline because yeah, it's just better overall. So by the end of October, you should be submitting your applications for early action, and submitting it doesn't mean, okay, I got everything done except for my math teacher still needs to finish my letter of recommendation. It's not a complete application if they're waiting on that. So everything needs to be submitted and, click submit on Common App by that day. And you want to double check the deadlines as well. That's a big thing. Put it on your calendars, create reminders for all of those different dates and for all of those different schools that you plan on applying to. By November, you should be completing your regular decision applications. Just because the deadline is in January, February, March, doesn't mean wait until then to submit it. If you are finished, submit it. Even if you submitted it as regular decision, but if you can get it done by end of October, November, you can apply early action. All right, you are requesting transcripts and recommendations if you have not already done so. Each school has its own process, so make sure you're talking to your school counselor to find out what that process is. Some are digitized where they submit everything via Naviance if your school district has that, or it might be another program that they use, but however your school is doing that, you need to know and be sure that you've done what they're asking. You should also take a look at your transcript. I tell kids this all the time. You should not have somebody submit anything blind outside of your letter of recommendation. Your transcript, you need to know absolutely what is on your transcript because mistakes do happen. Mistakes do happen, so make sure you verify the information is correct on all of the classes you took, when you took them, and the grade you got in them. And especially for AP classes, making sure that you got the weighted grade because again, different schools, different systems, different districts, just verify. The winter of your senior year, December, January, a lot of colleges and universities are closed. So it's kind of, you're not going there to do anything because they're not there. You're not calling them because they're not there. They're on vacation as well. So you're just submitting any remaining applications you're reviewing. A lot of deadlines are also in January. So just keeping track of all of these things you're finalizing. I want this for you. I want you to be done with your college applications by latest mid-November. At least your top schools, your safe schools, I want those to be done by then. Your safe schools that that you're getting in, that you have a high probability of getting in, you can wait on those, but definitely your top schools, your safe schools, you want to be done. You want to submit that as early as possible. Spring of your junior year, February, March, you're really just waiting. This is when the admission letters and decisions start rolling in. So you're continuing to research, you're waiting on the decisions, and you're researching financial aid and scholarship opportunities. April, you're reviewing your acceptance letters and financial aid offers, and you're making your final decision and submitting your deposit by May 1st is just a general date, but it might be different for the school you decide to go in. So just make sure you check. This is just a general date that I put that most schools go by, but it might be different. May, finalizing anything, preparing for graduation, and the transition to college. Now, around April, May, seniors tend to get lazy. I have seen schools rescind offers because a student got into their, top school, and they thought that, especially internationally, they thought that, okay, I'm good to go, and they submitted their final transcript because you do still have to submit a final transcript, and your IB predicted grades were not what you said that they'd be. Your final grade was not what you thought it would be. So make sure you keep up the pace in those classes and you don't, let senioritis win. All right, so summer, you're pretty much just preparing for college. You're going shopping, you are visiting, you are making sure you have your housing straight, you know when orientation is, etc. And then just enjoying time with your family, your friends before you start this new chapter, because the reality is you might not see some of these people ever again. So enjoy your time with them, some of your high school friends. You'll see your family again, inshallah. All right, so this timeline really, it can vary based on different colleges, what they require, their deadline. So again, it is important to check each school's requirements. Do we have any questions before I move on?
No questions right now, not in the chat unless someone has a question.
Okay.
Feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah. And if you want to unmute yourself and just ask too, that's fine. All right, so where are you applying? The application portals, everyone is most familiar with Common App, the Common Application. So I won't go into too many details on that, but pretty much all of the portals look the same. They're asking for the same things. There's coalition application, there's a universal college application. It also depends on, I guess, which part of the country or world that you're in, because different portals are popular in different regions. So institution-specific portals. So schools like University of California, they have their own portals because there are so many different schools in that system. So make sure that you know this going into it as well. So if you're looking on Common App for, California State University, you're not going to find it because it has its own portal. Common Black college application, so specifically for HBCUs, it allows students to apply to multiple HBCUs with one application. Naviance, it's not really a college application portal, but it is a portal that can be used for part of the process. So it allows students as well as counselors and teachers to send off your transcripts and letters of recommendation. Apply Texas, so similar to UC, that's another portal. Texas universities have a big enough system where they can create their own platform. So if you're applying to any universities in Texas, make sure that you're going to apply Texas. And not really for you guys, but there's a Common App for transfer students. So specifically for transfer students. All right, so when you're applying, again, be sure to check which portal each college accepts. And please be careful of the name, because a lot of these schools have similar names, but they're different universities. So make sure that you are actually applying to the right school. So there's NC State, North Carolina State University, and there will be another school, a smaller school with a similar name. California, the schools in Texas, a lot of them. even University of Maryland, right? Some people don't realize that there are different schools. UMES is an HBCU. It's part of the University of Maryland system, but it is not UMCP. University of Maryland College Park usually goes by University of Maryland. A lot of people don't say College Park unless you know to say it, but when people from outside of the area refer to University of Maryland, they're usually talking about College Park, but there's UMBC, which is where we went. Go Retrievers. There's University of Maryland Eastern Shore. There's University of Maryland Baltimore as well, not even Baltimore County. So make sure you double check the name of the universities in these portals. All right, so who are the main players? In my 13 years as a school counselor, I have seen it all. I have seen it all. And I say it again, every year I say the same thing. The majority of the college application process is on the student. It is literally preparing you for college. It seems like a lot, and if you have a parent that wants to help out and wants to do things for you and things that they could do it better, that's not what this is about. It's not. You should be doing your application. You should be writing your personal statements. You should be listing your extracurricular activities, your test scores. You should be the one doing all of these things because it is excellent preparation for what you will actually have to do on your own without a safety net when you get to university, when you get to college. And if your mom or dad did it all for you, first year is kind of sink or swim. It's sink or swim. If you've had people do it for you your whole life, what are the chances of you swimming or sinking when you're now forced to do it by yourself? And there are real consequences if you're not able to. So these are all the things that students have to do. Parents can definitely still be a part of the process. We do still need their money. But joking. We need their financial aid information. But counselors and teachers are the next big players in that college application process. They provide you access to information. So they are scheduling college fairs and information sessions. They're scheduling workshops for you. So this is all part of the access to information. They're advising you, you go to your counselor. I'm really stuck between this, and they're talking you through that process, or they should. They provide the school profile, which is required on the college application portals, which says, our school, this is a snapshot of our school. This is this many students this year. This is the percentage taking IB classes or taking AP classes. This is a percentage that passed the test, the AP test. And this is the percentage that get 4s and 5s. This is the percentage that went to college last year, the different schools that they went to. Each school's profile can look a little bit different, but those are just examples of information that they contain. They also provide your transcripts and your letters of recommendation. So you want to make sure your counselor is at least familiar with you, because each counselor is going to have to write one. So they should at least know who you are, and different schools have different processes. Sometimes there's a brag sheet that you have to fill out and you give to them. Please take those seriously, because the richer your brag sheet is, the better, the more believable letter of recommendation that the counselor or the teacher is able to write for you. You get out what you put in. So if you just, oh my God, I don't know. And you just make up stuff, we can tell, when we read the letters of recommendation. So when we read your brag sheet. So take it seriously. Your parents, it's uncomfortable, for some people, but you do need to have this conversation. You need to be able to, you need to know how much they make for FAFSA per year. You need to know, how much in savings, how much how much they have tied up in whatever, how much free cash they have, because these are all things that your financial aid package is based on. So please, please, please make sure your parents know this and they're ready to have those conversations or provide that information for you. And please take this
If
process seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can ask, or this is, I already see this being, or possibly a different session in of itself, but the whole family contribution, that information is going around. How do we ensure that we're not looking, parents are not looking like you're basically going to spend your whole life savings on this one child college education? How do we go about that? How do we complete that information? You don't have, you can give it like a short answer, and maybe we can think about a follow-up series to this.
I mean, so they take, for instance, a family where mom and dad works, and they pull in $120,000 or 250 combined income, but they have a house, they have 4 kids, they have, loans, they ask you all of these questions because how much you make is not necessarily how much you're going to be able to contribute to college education. And then they base the financial aid profile based on that. And it's a process. The student fills out the FAFSA with the parent. They send out a student profile to make sure, okay, these are all the questions. This is how much we paid in taxes last year. This is that. They'll send you a copy of that to verify that this is all true. And then, if anything changes in between, you can always call. You can always edit that information. At least you should be able to, but they give you opportunities because they know sometimes parents haven't done their taxes by the time that students are filling this out. So there are opportunities to edit it.
Thanks
Okay.
for that. Thanks.
Mhm.
That really helps. Caddy, you wanted to add something? Go ahead, Caddy.
And also, I know like last year there was a lot of issues with FAFSA, but schools also have their own like different thing from the federal government. So like whatever federal government gives you, the school sometime, depending on the school, if they have the money, a lot of schools will have additional money. They will like, if you go to the school and let you know them situation, they will give you money. Because I know I've run into situations where like she just stated like students will do like their FAFSA application, or like you stated, like parents will have other students as well that are might be going into college some year, and like FAFSA looks at it, oh well, you make enough money, and they won't give you money, but the schools usually were like, oh well, no, not that's not
Mhm.
true. We actually do have money to give out. So sometimes the schools also schools financial aid looks different than the federal aid financial aid
Sure.
as well. So like sometimes schools will match your financial aid packages if they have, like schools do have the money. So that's the good thing also. It was always looking into your schools to see what grants and what programs that they offered.
And a lot of people don't actually reach out to the financial aid office. If you get a financial aid package and you're like, oh, wait, this is less than I thought, or you can always call. Once you have that, once they've sent that to you, then they're able to have a conversation with you about your specific situation. And, if there's money or there are programs or something that's, it's a richer conversation when you are communicating with the school directly, because again, it's probably definitely a whole nother presentation, but there's merit-based scholarship and financial aid, and then there's like need-based. So merit-based is, it's kind of like being paid for the good work that you've done throughout high school, right? I have this GPA, I did this, I've done the hard work for 4 years, so you'll be rewarded for that via merit-based scholarship grants, programs, and then there's need-based, which is based on finances. Like, this is how you need this money. Most people get a combination of both. Their federal programs as well as school-specific programs that look at both of those factors. So merit and need. All right. So the realities, and I love talking about this, especially, as a counselor, that mental health piece. There's no way around it. The reality is the next few months are going to be very stressful for the student. Okay, they're going to be very stressful for the student. And what I've seen time and time again is the students are so stressed out, not only with college applications and personal statements and chasing after people for transcripts and letters of recommendations and making sure they're keeping up with their activities and having to watch their siblings and still having to do chores and, and having to do all of these things. A lot of times the parents don't see that. They just see this is what you're supposed to do. And I'll get to that when we get to the tips for the parents, but wrap your mind around it. You're going to be stressed for the next few months because you have this thing that needs to be done. There's good stress and there's bad stress, just like there's good debt and bad debt. Know the difference. Good stress is short term. The thing you're stressing about is achievable because you've set realistic goals, right? If you have a 1.67 cumulative GPA and you've applied to Harvard and you're stressing about that, I mean, unless you just, solved world hunger, I don't know.
That's bad
Maybe not.
stress. That's bad stress.
You might be putting yourself in a bad situation, but if you have a 4.5 GPA, you've taken AP classes since ninth grade, you applied to Harvard, and you're anxious, not stress, because it's achievable, it's realistic, you've done the work, and it's short term because you'll know in a few weeks or a few months whether you got in or not. Okay, so stress is inevitable during this time. There's good stress, there's bad stress. Know how to manage it. Part of the managing tips for parents: recognize the increased pressure they're under. I know the majority of us on here, and I don't know who's joined since I started, but the majority of us are African or, African American or from minority cultures. It's hard sometimes for them to see it's just, this is what you're supposed to do, so do it, without recognizing all of this additional pressure that they're under. So please recognize that this next few months is going to be difficult for them, and alleviate their responsibilities where possible, because it does make a difference. If they're having to do all of these things at the same time, it makes a difference. I'm telling you, it makes a difference. They might say it doesn't, or they don't recognize that it does, but in my 13 years, when parents give students that space and that little bit of wiggle room during that time frame, it helped. I mean, they're so thankful. That's one of the things that they mentioned during graduation, that, wow, I didn't have to do, this chore that I hate and takes forever and just takes time, because I needed time to complete my application after getting back from practice, after being in school all day, having a game, and then doing this. So recognize those things and alleviate where possible. Vocalize your pride. That's number 3. They need to hear this. This is a very, it's a time where they can feel very insecure in themselves and not sure and questioning their worth and their esteem, because a lot of it is tied into this process, unfortunately. But vocalize your pride in who they are and in the process, not just after they get into Harvard and then you're posting on Facebook and my baby got into Harvard, it's you're happy, but vocalize your pride throughout, regardless of where they get into or don't, and support and respect their growing independence, because it makes a difference when they leave. You have students that have been kept on a tight leash for 17, 18 years, and then all of a sudden they're in college. What do you think is likely to happen? They're more susceptible, not to say everybody falls to it, but they're more susceptible to the lure of independence. But if they've slowly been given independence and allowed to do things, it's less new, it's less flashy for them. So I always say support and respect their growing independence, while they're still under your roof. Tips for students: visualize the end goal. So visualize where you want to be. When you can see that and you picture yourself in a dorm room going in, it helps if you've done summer programs, right? Because you know exactly what that feels like. You've done summer programs where you get to stay on a campus for a few weeks. It's easier. And that's why I always say it's a great idea to do these programs before their senior year. It makes it easier. You don't have to chase after them if they want it just as much as you do. So organize is the second thing. Visualizing doesn't mean anything if you don't know when the deadlines are, you don't know what schools you're going to, you haven't looked at their requirements, you haven't spoken to a teacher about writing you a letter of recommendation, you haven't, you don't know what your transcript looks like, what's your cumulative GPA, do you know, do you not know, who knows? Organize. And we can go into more detail about that because these are, again, high level things. Chunking your tasks is number 3. So it can be daunting to look at everything that one school is requiring. So chunk your tasks. And what I mean by chunk is break it down into small goals, into smaller tasks. I need to submit my application, but first I need to write a personal statement. I need to take the SAT. I need to do this. I need to do that. So those are 4 different chunks right there that you can attack one by one. Communicate. And if you need help with any of these, then the next slide will speak to that. Communicate. You might be so stressed out with these college applications, these tests you have to study for and pass, these assignments in your 7, 8 classes, in regular school, you got to come home and watch your siblings and take care of your siblings and pick them up from school and cook for them and communicate how you're feeling throughout the process. Number 5, create perspective around your applications. Because again, a lot of this is tied into self-worth and esteem and, all of these things that can become unhealthy. So create perspective around your applications. Identify which are your top schools, your reach schools, which are your safe schools, and which are your safe schools. And part of creating this perspective, your counselor can help with that. But don't take everything that, everybody that other people say as gold or as gospel rather. Create perspective, but also consider the source. All right. So moving forward, step 1, I will send this presentation to be, dispersed to everyone that attended or made available. Figure out where you are in this process. What do you need to do? What have you already started or what have you already done? Check that off. And what haven't you started or done? And go to step 2. Make a list of those things that you haven't started or done. Make a list of what you need to accomplish this task. So I need to submit my SAT scores. I have not taken the SAT. Step 1, sign up for the SAT. Note what the obstacles are. The obstacle to me not taking the SAT yet, I don't feel prepared. So preparation is the obstacle. So vocalizing or thinking about these things concretely is going to help you a lot. Sitting down and writing things down or typing it on your phone and in your notes, it helps a lot to kind of break it down and make it tangible. Like, okay, and it takes you from, I want this to where I am. And step 1 through 4 is how you get there. Step 3, execute. Make an appointment for a one-on-one if you need it. You have your school counselors, you have me as a resource. Sister Khadijatu is also let me not put she wants to volunteer. But you have people that even if it's just a question, you have resources around you. For me, you can sign up for the first working session. The plan is to have working sessions where we meet at like, a small group of us, because sometimes it's easier to do it when other people are doing it too. Working session, we meet at like Panera Bread, Saturday, 11 to 1. Bring your laptops, bring your notebooks, and we just work on our college applications. And I'll be going around to assist different people. And you start working on your tasks. Number 3. Step 4, rinse and repeat until all your applications are done. One-on-ones. Before we go to that, do we have any other questions in the audience? If not, connect with me for additional support.
Hang on, I see a question just popped up. What about people who can't physically attend a meeting with the working sessions in Maryland?
Yep.
So would you have a virtual to that?
Absolutely. So connect with me for additional support. It goes to my Calendly. This is what my Calendly looks like. You book your one-on-one, they're 15-minute increments. And let's just pick next week, Monday. You have to do it 24 hours in advance. So if you want to see me on Monday, you have to do it by Saturday. Okay. The times are there. You click on a time, you go to next, you enter your name, your email, you select how you want to meet. Is it Google Meet? Is it a phone call? Is it a Zoom? Is it in person, which is the location here, and you share what topics you'd like to discuss today. So if it requires any preparation on my part, I am prepared for our meeting, and then you put the best way to reach you, just in case I need to follow up with anything, or you need to send me, a copy of your draft personal statement to look at before the meeting.
Yeah. Can you share the link to your Calendly, please?
Yes, I will put it in the WhatsApp group after.
Perfect.
Yeah, after the actually after the session is over. But I will also put it in the chat now. Let me see. So I stopped sharing the screen and I am looking for the chat.
You see the chat? There you go. Okay, I see the link.
Yep.
So that's the link, and then we will share the link in the group chat, the WhatsApp group chat. I've been sending stuff on the group chat, primarily directed towards the parents. So if you all can please go ahead and make sure that you fill out the form. This gives us permission to allow the counselors, like you, as mentioned, Mrs. Islamiyat will be one of those who will be helping, and also Sister Kadi will be joining as well, helping the students along this journey in some way, shape, or form. So please go ahead and make sure you register your student. Also join the group chat. We will be sending and sharing various information through this channel. Okay, was that all? That's it for the presentation, Square?
Yeah. So yeah, that's it for the presentation.
All right. So any questions, y'all?
So with the
No questions?
one-on-ones, yeah, so I'll just add with the one-on-ones, you can book for just if you need somebody to just check in on you on a weekly basis because that's what works for you. Feel free to use that tool as well for that. Use that tool for that as well. Brainstorming sessions, you're not quite sure how to get your, what to write for your personal statements. You're having a hard time getting started. We can have a brainstorming session. If you have an obstacle that you need help working through, we can have a conversation about that too. Personal statement reviews, you need somebody else to put eyes on it, to edit, to give you their thoughts. How does it sound? Is it, just a review. we can do that as well during the one-on-one. So it is another tool for you to use. So please ensure that you do, because it makes a difference. Yes, these are free. Which is why
Yeah, I
they're
just want to
only
make sure.
15 minutes. No.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone knows that these are all free of cost
Yes.
to you. Community service, we got to do this for the community, right? Um, so I don't know, as a parent, the three things that really resonated with me are the concerns around debt of paying for college. I really strongly feel that we need another session on that, because just trying to understand, how can we go about ensuring that our students are looking into ways to get financial aid, not just financial aid that you have to pay back, but grants and scholarships, merit-based, and other types of scholarships and grants. So I really want to hear. I would like to see if there are other parents who are interested in that. Another thing that resonated with me tonight is the issue of the stress. Keeping in mind that our students are stressed out. And I know I'm one of those guilty parents who's like, but you have to do this, you have to do this. So I'm having to kind of call myself out and keep that in mind. Keep in mind the fact that this is a stressful period for our students, and we need to try to be supportive for them. And lastly, the fact that it all pays off. This is kind of like one of those, it's tough to get through. It's really hard. It's really challenging, but inshallah, there's an end part to this, where we get to celebrate. So Jibola, go ahead. Jibola, assalamu alaikum, welcome. Long time. So go ahead and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum. It's actually Jibola's
Oh,
mom. I'm here
alaikum
with him.
salam.
And I
Yay,
just wanted to
welcome.
say thank you, because Jibola is so happy I'm here with him, and he's like, Mom, I'm just so here so you can hear this. That
Aw.
was his favorite part of this whole thing is, okay, Mom, I'm glad you heard what she said. So I'm listening. I'm here with you, Fauziya. So I am gonna be more lenient and maybe be so
Yeah.
easy on the chores, because he said that so many
Yes.
times. So yes, thank you.
You're welcome. No, it really, it makes a difference. Like, I have had students break down in my office and not feel safe enough to have these conversations just because of culture, on just the expectations of them academically. So nobody's giving you less homework or less tests just because you have college applications to do. Nobody's easing up on your chores. Nobody's easing up on not, whatever free time you have, filling it with something else, not realizing like I need to do these things. So it makes a difference when parents are just made aware, because a lot of times they're just not thinking about it. Not that, they want to make it harder, but it's not at the forefront of their mind. So yeah, I try to remind and put that out there because it's important. Anyone else? Umar, you want to jump in with anything?
I have a question.
Yes, who's that?
Tanisa Singleton.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'm wondering how, as a parent, can I be more involved? I feel very far removed from everything, with technology. The kids are doing the Common App and, the whole everything. I feel like they don't need my help in anything. So I'm wondering, how can I be of assistance?
Okay, so the first thing is, I'm not sure what district, what county you're in, but schools have they tend to have these sessions. So maybe connecting with the school counselor to see what events or sessions that they have, around this process that you can attend. It will give you a lot of insight into what their particular schools are using. Because again, different schools have different technology apps, portals, to assist with the process. So for instance, Naviance, there's a parent piece with Naviance that if your county has it, then that's something you can look into. They can give you a little bit more, get you a little bit more involved, but also just, with your student, because you can double check their applications, right, before they hit submit, to make sure that, nothing, just a final look over, if they're comfortable. If not, then it's just a conversation. Tell me about this application. What does Common App, what is it asking for? Can I see what it looks like? A lot of times they're happy to show you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I feel like they
Welcome.
don't want my help in anything.
Yeah. Or maybe don't even frame it as, I want to help you. I just want to see. And I
Okay.
promise, no interference. I just want to see what it looks like.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then hold to that. You gotta stick to that, because next time you ask, they won't do it.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay. So I will take the silence as we got
I have a quick
this.
question.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
So with the college tours, and just going to colleges, when do you advise that? Do you advise that when you've narrowed down the colleges they want to go to? Because that's always a big thing. Some people you're traveling all over and they've not even quite decided. So at what point do you advise that you start doing that? And what is the best way to go about that? Do you just contact the school first and say, okay, we want to come visit? And does that, increase their chances of being, selected, or like, with the schools when you go onto the campuses first?
So I will let Sister Fauzia, as a parent, answer some of those questions, and whatever she doesn't cover, because she has done it with Umar, and we started, I believe, the summer before 11th grade. Was that when we started, or was it sophomore year? And just and Umar can speak to it as well, like the impact and the benefits of attending some of those programs. Maybe let's start with Umar, if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Omar.
Putting you on the spot.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, can you repeat the question, please?
So she is asking about the benefits of attending the summer programs. When would you recommend that students start attending programs, and just, is it beneficial?
Yeah. So I recommend starting um as soon as you get to high school. Some After ninth grade is when you should start doing these programs. Some of them are free, some of them can be up to 10 to even like $20,000, but um there's a wide range of programs. They help in like getting to know what college life is like, and also some of these programs can actually give you college credits. Um, so that's how they're useful, and also it's a very big thing on on your on your resume, and you can say that when you're applying to college. So
Mhm.
especially if you're applying to the college that you went to the program with, you have like an increased chance of getting in. So that's like the benefits of doing these.
Thank you. Okay, Sister Fauzia, or Dr. Fauzia, as a parent, what do
As
you
a
see
parent,
as
yeah.
the benefits?
Okay, thanks for that. And yeah, I think Omar was referring more to like the pre-college programs that he usually does in the summer. For me, and we did this primarily under the Aafiyah Project, and of course, Omar came along with us. I think it's super important for us to start introducing the kids, especially kids, your students that you know are college bound, as early as middle school. And definitely by high school, you want them to start going to college, to the campuses. Some of the feedback we got from our students was the fact that they really appreciated knowing the difference between what a big city university look like GW, versus one that's more in the suburban area, like UMBC, which is really like a commuter school, or Stevenson University. It's important for them to know what a small university versus a big one looks like, the feel of it, and even HBCU, that's historical Black colleges and universities, versus PWI, which is predominantly white institutions. So those are some of the things that we have discussed with our students, and we can always do another session on that. Things we discussed with them, the differences. I personally did not know what an HBCU was until like 12th grade. Even though I grew up with different world, a different world. I didn't quite, put it all together. It's important for them to know that, because it helps, just the different types of universities. It helps them start to formulate, oh, I think I'll do well in a place like this. Someone who has social anxiety, doesn't like big cities, they probably don't want to be at NYU. They don't want to end up there. In terms of where to start with your universities that you're surrounded with. Start with, looking at programs, weekend programs, programs that go on for like just a couple of hours, things that would not necessarily, until you plan in elaborate type travels and things like that. For us in PG County, Prince George's County, we've got, Bowie State University, we've got UMBC, we've got University of Maryland College Park, we have all these universities surrounding us that we can go to. I would say you probably want to save your money to go and actually travel to more universities that maybe your student has let you know that they have a huge, strong interest in attending. Then it'll be worth your while. I wouldn't necessarily jump on a flight and go to UCLA unless my student says, oh, I really want to go here and I know X, Y, these are the reasons why I want to go there. Then it makes a difference. The schools don't really necessarily know that you're visiting their school. I mean, they might have a list of it, but visiting a university can be very casual. You can just walk on the campus and kind of walk around. You can go to the admission center or contact them and actually do like a full-blown tour. When we went with our students, we usually would make an appointment with them, and they would assign someone to us to do a whole tour, and it's usually much more detailed when we have them, when we do it that way. But you as a family, you can also do that as a family, by the way, but you can also just walk onto the campus, get a feel for it and things like that. So there's so many different ways to do that.
Okay,
I hope that helped. I hope that helped you, Sister Ty, Dr. Ty.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is start small, start local. It doesn't have to even be a school that they are interested in, but it's just to get a sense of different types of environment. And you never know. I've had students, come to college information sessions when we would have representatives come present. They would sign up and show up just to get out of class. And then they learn something like, wow, I had no idea, but I'm going to apply after listening to that. So you never know what you're going to learn. Start small, start local. Unless it is a very, very niche program, I don't believe in paying for any high school student to college program. And there are too many free programs out there. They want students to come. They have whole initiatives around bringing students, high school students and younger, on campus that you should not have to pay. Definitely,
and especially minority. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I was going to say, especially minority students. You can definitely find a ton of those free programs, or like at very minimal cost. So yes, mashallah.
Yeah. And kind of similar to that, you should never pay for scholarships. I know it's an aside, but when we're talking about things parents or students should never pay for, you should never be paying for scholarships or scholarship opportunities. It defeats the purpose of a scholarship. So if there's anything or any program, the person that's asking for that, no, there's too much free stuff on there. And definitely as they get older, and this is when I say college application process starts way before 12th grade. This is all part of the research that you're doing. So by the time that they enter their senior year of high school, spring break junior year, they should have a small list of colleges and universities, a much smaller list. And then you can start, considering traveling and spending money to to visit those schools, or even contacting them and seeing if they're going to be in your area, because they do visit. They have regional representatives that go to different parts of the country to make presentations, and that way you can make a one-on-one connection with those representatives. But the biggest reason to do the college visits and make it an experiential activity, if you do that work on the front end, you won't have to do it on the back end. If your child goes to a university and sees and experiences college life, they want to go to college way more than you want them to. So you won't have to do this chasing after them that, some parents have to do with some kids, because they see what is at the end of the road, and they want that for themselves more than even the parents want it for them. So that's the biggest thing for me, is it makes their dreams tangible. Hope that answers.
All right. If there are there any
Thank
more
you.
questions?
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Any more questions? If not, we can go ahead and call it a night, inshallah. So Ms. Adebohun will be reaching out to folks. I've just posted the link to her Calendly. And then when other opportunities, other topics that we would like to address, or even if there's anything you want us to address, please let us know, and we'll work towards that. But parents, please, go ahead and register your child through the form. Make sure you do the intake form. Also join the WhatsApp group. That's our primary means of communication and things like that. So thank you all so much. I pray you all have a wonderful evening. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh.